to you, my fellow Gooners, and welcome to Arsenal TV. Now, the Premier League has been suspended until April the 4th because of coronavirus. First thing I will say to you, what is coronavirus? Well, coronavirus is basically like a cold or a flu, and it could potentially turn into pneumonia. You might have a dry cough, you might have a runny nose, or anything that you would have with a cold or a flu, basically. Now, the update for coronavirus at the moment is now across the UK, there has been 40,279 concluded tests, at which 38,907 were confirmed negative and 1,372 were positive results. Now, 35 patients who tested positive for coronavirus have sadly died. Now, the impact that it has on people is that there's people that's been admitted to hospital that they might have other health conditions, but where they've caught the coronavirus, it's actually killed them. So all I can say for people out there, please do stay safe and please be very, very careful. The Arsenal head coach, Mikel Arteta, was the first person in the Premier League to actually have caught the coronavirus. And it was actually from when Arsenal played host to Olympian Arcos in the Europa League for that second leg. Now, Olympian Arcos' owner at that time was confirmed positive for coronavirus. And when Mikel Arteta was being, shaking hands with him and whatnot, unfortunately, Mikel Arteta actually caught coronavirus. And I will get into the statement of Arsenal very, very shortly. Now, as we know, people were a bit worried going into that West Ham game. Me personally, I wasn't worried. I didn't really think of anything of it at that time. I didn't even know that Mikel Arteta even caught it. And then it got to a point where Arsenal were supposed to face Man City in the Premier League on Wednesday, on the 11th. And unfortunately, that game got postponed, and it was due because of the coronavirus fears of it. And the reason why they postponed it, because they wanted to keep the fans for the safeguarding, to keep them away from the game. Now, Arsenal did put out a statement, as I said, about Mikel Arteta, of him being positive, and I'm going to read out the statement by Arsenal. And it says, our London Colney Training Centre has been closed after head coach Mikel Arteta received a positive COVID-19 result this evening. It says, Arsenal personnel who had recent close contact with Mikel will now self-isolate in line with the government health guidelines. We expect this to be a significant number of people from Colney, including the full first team squad and coaching staff, as well as a small number of people from our Hull End Academy, which will have all temporarily closed as a precaution. We expect those who did not have close contact with Mikel to return to work in the coming days. In the meantime, our Colney and Hull End Training Centre will undergo a deep clean, and our other club sites are operating as normal. Managing Director Vinay said, the health of our people and the wider public is our priority, and that is where our focus is. Our thoughts are with Mikel, who is disappointed but in good spirits. We are in active dialogue with all the relevant people to manage this situation appropriately, and we look forward to getting back to training and playing as soon as medical advice allows. Head of football Raul Sanelli added, Mikel and the first team squad, players and staff will be fully supported, and will look forward to getting back to training and playing as soon as medical advice allows. Obviously, Mikel's full recovery is the priority now for us all. We will work with the Public Health of England on the next steps in regards to our facilities and staff, and with the Premier League Football Association and the relevant clubs around our forthcoming matches in the Premier League and the Emirates FA Cup. It is clear we will not be able to play some fixtures on there currently scheduled dates. We will update supporters who have tickets for the forthcoming games with more information as soon as possible. We are now working to trace any other people who have had recent close contact with Mikel. We will let them know what has happened, and they should follow the NHS guidelines, which is likely to recommend self-isolation. Mikel said, "This is really disappointing, but I took the test after feeling poorly. I will be at work as soon as I'm allowed." Now, shortly after that statement, Chelsea winger Callum Hudson-Odoi was also the first Premier League player, to actually come out as positive for coronavirus as well. Now, I think after Mikel Arteta came out saying that, he had coronavirus, and obviously, Hudson-Odoi was tested positive as well for the coronavirus, I think it was pretty clear after that the Premier League was going to, suspend it. Now, I'm obviously going to read out the statement by the Premier League and what they have said. This statement was brought out on the 13th, the day after the Arsenal statement. And it says, Premier League, FA and EFL and the Women's Super League have collectively agreed to postpone the professional game in England. Following a meeting of shareholders today, it was unanimously decided to suspend the Premier League with the intention of returning on the 4th of April, subject to medical advice and conditions at the time. Premier League Chief Executive Richard Masters said, "Above all, we wish Mikel Arteta and Callum Hudson-Odoi speedy recoveries and everyone else affected by COVID-19. In this unpredictable situation, we are working closely with our clubs, government and the FA and EFL, and can reassure everyone the health and welfare of players, staff and supporters are our priority. Despite the challenges it is, the Premier League aim to reschedule the displaced fixtures, including those played by academy sides, when it is safe to do so. In the fast-moving environment, further updates will be provided when appropriate." Now, the Premier League is not the only league to also be affected by this. There is other countries and events that have been affected by the coronavirus, COVID-19. The first one is Italy. Serie A and Serie B are also suspended. I believe Italy are also on lockdown as a whole country. You cannot go in or out of Italy. Spain, La Liga and the Copa del Rey final has been suspended. And I believe also you cannot go in and out of Spain either, because they are on lockdown as well. Germany, the Bundesliga 1 and 2 has been suspended. In France, Liga 1 and 2 has been suspended, and their League Cup final has been postponed. UEFA competitions, Champions League, Europa League and Euro 20. Champions League and Europa League matches for the second legs, I believe, have been postponed until further notice. For the Euro 2020, I actually don't know the circumstances on that at the moment. I think they are thinking of postponing that for another year, but I do not know. The Netherlands, their league, their first division and second division has been suspended. Portugal, their league has been suspended. USA, United States of America, the MLS has been suspended for 30 days. South America, the CONMEBOL World Cup 2022 qualifiers has been postponed. As we know that the Formula 1 Grand Prix for Melbourne got suspended. Tennis, I believe, has also been suspended. Snooker has been played behind closed doors. And the World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, has also been behind closed doors as well. So you can see what the coronavirus has done. It has took a massive impact on everyone in this whole entire world, and obviously England as a country as well. Now, there is other teams that has been affected by the coronavirus in the Premier League, including Arsenal. There's been about 7 other clubs. Chelsea, as we know, with the whole Hudson-Odoi situation. Man City, Benjamin Mendy also had the symptoms for coronavirus. Everton, they had some symptoms as well, and they've been isolated. Watford was another one. Bournemouth, I believe, was another side. West Ham, because where Arsenal played against West Ham, West Ham went into self-isolation when they heard the news break out about Mikel Arteta. David Moyes himself went into self-isolation. And Leicester City, Brendan Rodgers came out that some players, unnamed, had the symptoms for coronavirus as well. So as a whole result, with 8 teams coming out saying that they've had coronavirus, the Premier League decided to suspend it until further notice, which is basically until April the 4th. Now, to be honest, now I'm going to tell you what my best outcome would be so far at the moment. Now, as we know, the Premier League is very, very uncertain whether or not that the Premier League season will carry on and go ahead. The best solution, what the Premier League can do if they have to end the season, go by last season's standings. If that's the case, let Liverpool have the league title, by all means. They've done, they've worked hard for it, so let him have it. But, when you look at our table right now, the relegation battle, you look at the teams that are there, they can say, well, we can still get out of it. There's still games to be played where we can still get out of it. Then you look at the teams that are fighting for that Champions League position, for that 5th spot and that 4th spot. Even there's teams in there. Arsenal, for instance, are only 5 points from 5th place. So you've got teams that are in the mid-table can say, you know what, we can still catch that. We can still get it. So what they should do is just go by last season's standards by the end of the season and go by that. I don't think that the teams that are in relegation, if the Premier League has to avoid the season, I don't think they should be relegated. The people that are in relegation, they should not be relegated. Man City's going to come out of that 5th spot because they can no longer go into the Champions League for the next 2 seasons. So that's not really a bad thing. So maybe if you look at last season's standings, Arsenal will get 5th. Then we could say Unai Emery got us Champions League. Liverpool, just give them the trophy. That's nothing to be ashamed of. But I think that's what Premier League needs to do. I reckon that they need to avoid the season, because I think that this coronavirus is going to be a never-ending cycle in terms of the Premier League and the other leagues. Because on that day, on the 4th of April, Arsenal has got to play against Norwich at home. And I don't really ask, for the players to work hard in training, and then all of a sudden it comes out that a Norwich player or one of their staff members has got coronavirus. And then we've got to go back into isolation for another 2 weeks again. So to save all the bother, I just think the Premier League now needs to be avoided and start again next season. So guys, there you have it. The Premier League season has been suspended due to coronavirus. Let me know in the comments box, as always, what do you think the Premier League should do? Continue with the last remaining games, or, suspend the season and, avoid it completely and start again next season. Guys, until my next video, I will see you lot soon. I am out of here.